So I think it's been probably 20 to 25 years since I could complete the sentence, "Hey, I read this article in PC Magazine." It has been some time since I have cracked open a thing. And here I clicked open an article from PC Magazine that Mike and I are going to talk about today. And that was the 10 creepy retro gaming experiences for Halloween. So I kind of listed what he thought were these are 10 he'd recommend, and went through the list. And so we thought we kind of hit a couple of the ones that he had on there where we have agreement, and maybe if we felt there was a miss, talk about that as well. So first of all, overall reaction to the list as you got through it, Mike. What did you think?
So it was an interesting mix of the expected and a couple of deep cut things in there too. Um, as we go over the list, I might have a few more comments or things that I would have liked to have seen on there.
Yeah, and we're not gonna, I know everybody was waiting to see, are they gonna go through everyone and just scroll, and we're gonna watch them scroll, and then they'll talk about things, and sometimes they'll take the fifth and all that. Nah, we're not gonna do that. We're just gonna shotgun around, scattershot some commentary on there. So first of all, one I'm sure we all agree on is Splatterhouse. TurboGrafx X Splatterhouse leads off the list. Highly recommend. I completely support. Your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I love that Splatterhouse is on here. I remember that game being a big deal when it came out, and that was really a system seller for TurboGrafx 16. Originally, Konami wasn't going to include it on the TurboGrafx Mini, and then because there was such a fan backlash, they had to add it to it, which is pretty funny. But yeah, Splatterhouse is a great game. I personally like Splatterhouse 3 better. I just think it's a better game. It's a more well-rounded game, gives you branching paths, and the story is actually darker than the sort of thin story of the original. But the original really hit at a right time where it could find that blend of pulling kids in because they weren't supposed to play this game.
Yeah, it had the nice if Mario is a serial killer vibe going. That kind of
We love serial killers here, as we've established.
they're neat. So
Serial killers are pretty neat.
so pretty neat. So go back to a previous show. You'll find out which member of this show thinks that serial killers are neat. But yeah, I enjoy it. I think it's a great addition. It certainly had to be on there. Any good list should include that. Now this one was a little tricky because it was console games. It said retro games, but it was mostly console games, but occasionally PC games showed up as well. So there are a couple of surprises down through there. And actually, my recommendation, since they opened the door on PC games, will be a PC game from kind of the era that I think could have been included. But clearly not a PC game is Haunted House, the Atari Haunted House, which the original one, given the 2600's limitations, I thought was a really fun, more fun than Adventure. And Adventure was always an Atari game I enjoyed quite a bit. But I thought Haunted House, kind of using some of the same concepts, was just better. And they achieved so much storytelling with just a couple pixels with a pupil in them kind of going around. Did really well. The Atari 50th edition offers a updated version of Haunted House, which I found outstanding. Really enjoyed that quite a bit. But if we're gated to retro gaming, I'm still good with the OG Haunted House from Atari.
Yeah, I thought Haunted House. I mean, it's one of those ones I think every retro gamer knows. And it's one of those, it almost seems cliche to say it, but there's a reason that it's always on lists like this because it did kind of open the door to what we eventually think of as survival horror games.
Yep, absolutely. Um, Nightstalker on Intellivision, which also basically got ported as Dark Cavern on Atari, is largely spooky Berserk, in my opinion. But I like Berserk, so kind of okay, but I think there are probably a lot of other choices out there would be better. Uh, because I think if you want to play Berserk, play Berserk.
Yeah, I like Nightstalker. It's one of the few in television games I played a good amount of. So I always liked it. I don't know that I would put it on a list of top games or games you need to go out and play though, especially because there is so many games on here or so many games that are missing from here. So, I right off the bat, I could think of something like, did you ever play Lit for Wii?
No, I did not.
So it's a game that takes place similar to Haunted House, mostly in the dark, and you have to use a flashlight to get around, which you use the Wiimote for. So it was an excellent use of the motion controls and things like that. So something like that that's unique and original, whereas this again kind of feels like Berserk with a spooky makeover. And if you're going to take an existing game and just give it a spooky makeover, why not Slapdash Spooky Season? I know it's a newer game, but I feel like it does that perfectly.
It feels retro, so you got that going. Um, that's fair. Yeah, boy, I think like BioShock on the Wii, with you being able to use a flashlight to light up different parts of that environment, would have been wonderful. And if that existed, that would be on this list. That would be, they already pull off jump scares in BioShock very effectively. about, about had a heart attack one time. So that's really good. So one I didn't know, and if you watch to the end of this video, you will find a recommended video after for your next viewing, which will be Mike and I discussing how to set up a 3DO emulation environment. And so step by step, and you can do it there. I'd recommend doing that, watch it a couple times, make sure you get it, then go do it, and then find Escape from Murder Manor rather. So I have not played this, but I'm going to, and I can do it because Mike and I have set up 3DO emulation on our systems, and you can too. Just wait till the end of this video. Don't jump ahead because it doesn't work then. You've got to watch the whole thing. But the link, there'll be a link to that video there. And I'm definitely going to go see what I can do to secure this game to play.
Yeah, this was one I wasn't familiar with, but it was nice to see 3DO on there. So there was games like Night Trap that were ported to 3DO. Night Trap again is one of those things where felt like you shouldn't be playing it when you were a kid. Ironically, now it's actually only teen rated, and it's one of the games that kicked off the whole ESRB rating system over the controversy for a game that is now teen rated. So super fun. And Limited Run Games loves porting it to Nintendo platforms. And in every single ad promoting those, they show the clip of the president of Nintendo at the time saying Night Trap will never be on a Nintendo platform.
And let me say that for the record, I want to state that Night Trap will never appear on a Nintendo system.
Before they announce each new Nintendo platform. I have Night Trap for Game Boy Advance. Was one of the more recent ones that it came out for. So Night Trap, sort of like Doom, plays on everything now. And it's only teen rated. So I wouldn't put it on this list, but it feels kind of in that similar vein. So I would check that out on 3DO or whatever system that you have that for. One that I thought was interesting on here was Castlevania 2. Because Castlevania 2, at the time it was released, was not well received in comparison to 1 and 3 and all the other sequels. Now, retroactively, it's well respected because it introduces a lot of the RPG elements that people love about the Castlevania games. They just hadn't really smoothed out how that would work in the gameplay yet. It's not until later games that really they found their footing with that. This kind of it's a little bit clunky the way that it shoves it in to the game, but it is the one that introduces that and kind of creates that whole Metroidvania subgenre. So backtracking and leveling up your character and things like that. So this does introduce it. It just does it in kind of a clunky way. But again, it does, people respect it a lot more now than they did at the time.
Anything else off of this list for you? Bring up any omissions?
Nothing else specifically off of the list other than to, it was nice to see Alone in the Dark on there because that really kicked off a lot of PC gaming, horror gaming, a whole wave of that came after Alone in the Dark, games like Darkseid and Phantasmagoria and Seventh Guest and things like that.
Fair enough. Yeah, the what I think is missed because they did do some PC games. Blood, which is a Doom-esque first-person shooter kind of deal. I think it's a good fits the bill for here we go. This is where I can't say the word Halloween. We'll put a link in the description. You can still see that 3DO at the end, but my problem with the words Halloween will be reflected as well. Well, I'll show you where you can go do that. I'll even timestamp it for you. But a fine Halloween adventure would be Blood, because I think it's just super cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I would throw in Fatal Frame. It was a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of a later game for PlayStation 2. But it was the first time I really thought the use of a rumble in a controller was really justified. I wasn't super impressed with rumble controls when they were first introduced. Like it's fine, but it's a novelty. And if anything, I kind of found it distracting in the early use of it. But that game really showed me that you could make it integrated into a part of the gameplay in a different way, because the rumbles used for your character's heartbeat as you're playing.
Oh,
So
nice.
as you're going through and the character gets more scared, the rumble starts to pick up more and more. If your character's hurt and dying, the heartbeat starts to slow down and become fainter. It was really great use of that.
Yeah, that's excellent. I think it's a tremendous use of it. I always liked Rumble just from situations where I'm maybe not the most sort of present video gamer. And so hitting me over the head with "you're taking damage, you're taking damage, you're taking damage," to help say, "Oh, something's happening here. This is not good." That was helpful to me. Where I could, there were plenty of other clues that should have reflected the fact, I don't know, the large man with the sledgehammer in front of you swinging away, you're probably taking damage. But the rumble helped me recognize, oh crap, I'm taking damage. So that was kind of there. But I think that's an outstanding. Was unaware. I think you may have mentioned that sometime a long time ago, but very cool, excellent use of it. Um, any other additions you'd want to add before we wrap it up?
Just the PC games that I mentioned, like Phantasmagoria, particularly, is one, and you can get that as well as Alone in the Dark and Seventh Guest, all on Steam, and they're all reasonably priced. Blood was actually just recently remastered by Atari, so that's one you can go and pick up because Atari remasters everything. Speaking of which, the only other one that I would definitely really mention would be The Thing, which was just recently remastered by Atari. And you can get that on Steam and every other platform as well. That was a PlayStation 2 game originally. Very difficult game. That's the only problem with it. It is a slow and difficult game, but really fun, really atmospheric, but a long, slow, and difficult game. So I know that when they did the remaster, they tightened certain things up to make it a little more approachable. I haven't played it, but all the reviews mention that it feels a little bit more streamlined. So it's a little easier to get into if you hadn't played it previously. But it serves as a sequel to John Carpenter's movie. And John Carpenter was actually involved in it and gave it his stamp of approval and came up with the story and things like that. So it undoes the Marvel comics, The Thing, which was a comic book series sequel that followed the movie, where the McCready character gets saved and picks up the story from there. This instead is now canonically, as far as John Carpenter is concerned, the actual sequel story.
Yeah, my only other addition, and it's a little bit against type. would be the Phantom Menace PS1 game, because what other game can you slaughter an entire city with really no consequence? I think that's neat. So,
We
anyway,
love murder.
thanks for watching, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Bog Panda.